What is up, guys? All right, today I'm going to be building a farmhouse trestle style table, and I'm going to show you guys how I'm doing it, why I'm doing it, and then you'll get to see the finished product down the line. This is the first table I've built like this. Anybody who knows me knows that I love to do stuff for myself. I wouldn't call myself a master carpenter. I build things to get stuff done, okay? Hopefully it looks decent in the process. So, if you see down here, I've got the materials. I just picked them up yesterday. I got 6 2x8 by 10 foot long. I've got an 8 foot 2x6. I've got 4 8 foot 4x4s. I've got some screws. I've got some wood glue. And I'm gonna start cutting these things down on the table saw, shaping them up and putting them together. I'll try and get some video of that throughout the process. First, let me go inside and show you why I'm building this table. Basically, we've lived in our house for about 5 years now, actually 6 years now, and we've had the same table, and I'll show you why I'm building this. So right here is our current dining room table. Let me walk over here. I'll turn on a light. Okay. So as you guys can see, I kind of have some built-ins. I built these kind of built-in shelves a few years ago for Katie. And if you look down here, there's a bench that I've built, and that acts as half the seating for the table. You can see it raises up. We have storage under there. Works great, but there's one major problem. You see, like most tables, it has 4 legs in the corners. Okay, so if you look down here, let me get down here. I'll kind of show you what I'm talking about. When I built the bench, this leg comes basically right up to this bench. So when we have our families over for dinner or whatever, it's kind of a pain because we have to pull this table out away from that bench in order for people to get back there and get seated, because they can't get through there. So what I want to do is build, a trestle style table that is going to have the supports in the center of the table, and there's not going to be legs right there in the corner so people, can get in there and sit down. All right, so I'm gonna set up my table saw. I'm gonna start shaping up this lumber, and I'll try and explain what I'm doing. All right, talk to you guys in a little while. Bye. Okay, so I'm getting ready to start shaping up these boards, and I wanted to explain what I'm doing. I've got my 2x8s here that are gonna be my table top, but just using construction grade lumber. If you come in and look, all this 2x lumber kind of has a rounded edge right there, and we want to take off that rounded edge because we're going to be butting all these 2x8s up together to make the tabletop, and we want all those to fit real nice together and make a smooth top. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use my table saw, and I'm just going to shave off that rounded edge on both sides of all of these 2x8s. All right, I'll show you how it's done. Thanks. Hey you guys, quick pro tip. This is something you do not want to miss. Get the kiddos a new toy so they're busy while you're working, okay? Because you're never gonna get this done if you don't. Say hi, Ruby. All right, I got all my boards run through the table saw, got the edges squared up pretty good. Now what I want to do is, since this is going to be a tabletop, I need all those boards to be exactly the same depth, okay? So what I want them to be real nice and smooth. So I'm going to run them through my planer. I'll run over there and show you. So I got this planer right here that I'm going to run them through, and that's going to smooth them up. It's going to make sure they're all the same size. Okay, so I got all my boards, at least for the top planed, on my 2x8s. They're laying down there. I just kind of mocking them up. I got a clamp in the middle of them. There was one that was just a little, had a little bit of crown on it, so I'm gonna have to squeeze them together. And then I've got this 2x6, which I showed you at the very beginning of the video, and that's gonna go on the end of the table. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna get all this mocked up real good, and then I'm gonna glue and screw all this stuff together so it can start setting up. All right. Okay, while I'm waiting on my tabletop to set up, the glue to set up and everything, I'm going to plane down the 4x4s that I'm gonna be using for the legs. I got those right here. I'm just gonna plane them down, smooth them out. They've got that same rounded edge like, you know, construction grade lumber does. So I'm gonna try and get rid of that and just smooth these out a little bit. All right, I'm gonna get started. All right, guys, so it's the next day, and this is what the top is looking like right now. After I got done planing them down and everything, I buttered them all together. I drilled a bunch of pilot pocket holes for screws, and essentially all I did was glue each edge of the 2x and screwed them all together. After I had them all screwed together, I put these clamps on, clamped it all really good and tight, tightened everything up, and it's just been sitting overnight to let the glue dry. And so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start working on the base of the table. I've got a few things left to finish up on the top. I've got all kinds of finishing work to do. I'm gonna have to sand it down. But I'm gonna get to work on the base, and I'll show you what that looks like. Alright guys, so what I'm doing now is I'm attaching these end boards to the tabletop. I got these 2x6s, and they're going to kind of act as an end for the table. And the way I'm connecting them is basically I'm just gluing them, screwing them, and then I've got these metal plates . I've got these that I'm going to put on here to act as more support for that end board. Like I say, when I'm building stuff, I'm building it for function. A lot of times you're going to use, you know, a lot of people would use dowels, or they'd use a biscuit joiner or something to put these on here. I don't have a biscuit joiner, and honestly trying to get dowel holes straight for me, which is like a cordless drill, is going to be really difficult. These should work perfect. They should provide plenty of support with the glue, screw, and then these. So I'm going to put these on. I'll show you what it looks like. Alright guys, so I am currently cutting the 4x4s that are going to be the supports or the legs for the table. Pretty straightforward what I'm doing. Got my circular saw out, and I am just cutting them about 3 inches less than the width of the tabletop is. That way there'll be about 1.5 inches overhang of the tabletop on either side. And then I am just on these ends, I am just measuring up about 1 inch and then cutting a 45-degree angle just to give it, some dimension, make it look a little bit better. You can see down here, I've already done it to these, and I'm just kind of getting them shaped up. So this is going to be the bottom, the center post, then there'll be, identical top as the bottom, and then I'm going to put some X bracing in here. Alright, I'll show you when it's all done, what it looks like. Okay guys, I'm going to show you what I got going on with the legs. I've already assembled one. I am beginning to assemble this one. What I did was the bottom and top, I cut 3 inches less than the width of the table. So you're going to have about 1.5 inches overhang on either side of the table from the legs. And then basically all I'm doing is I want the tabletop to be 30 inches. So I just kind of added up all the lumber, cut the wood, the necessary heights. And now I'm putting some X bracing in here. And actually, I'll show you. I used 6-inch long timber tight lag screws to hold that center support into the top and the bottom. So that's going in about 3 inches into the center post. And then what I'm going to do is, and I glued it also, and this is what it's going to look like. Let me get this out of the sun so you can see it a little bit better. So that's what it looks like when it's done. I cut all these supports the exact same size, and what I'm doing is I'm just drilling pilot holes in there big enough to fit these holes with 3/8 inch dowel. So I ran 3-inch screws into these supports into the legs, and then I'm just going to put dowels in there, glue them in, cut them off, sand them down, and it should look pretty good. Okay, so this is what the legs look like fully assembled. Kind of show you what I did. You can tell on the top I put a 1x6. You can tell it's a little bit wider, and I did that because that is how I'm going to attach the tabletop to the legs. I'm going to drill screws up through these edges that are hanging over into the tabletop to hold the tabletop down. And then you can see I put little blocks, 1x4 blocks, under the 4x4s, and the reason I did that is, if you just lay that those 4x4s flat on the ground, you better hope you have a completely level, flat floor, or the thing's gonna rock. These blocks will provide a little bit of give if your floor's not exactly level. You can see right here, I filled in the holes where I attached the bracing. I put some dowel rod in there and cut it off, so now I gotta sand all this down. I'll probably put a little bit of wood filler in the bigger cracks and stuff, sand it all down, get it ready for paint. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. I haven't gotten a whole lot of video of the finished work I've done on the tabletop, but there was a lot of sanding that went into this tabletop. I did 2 or 3 rounds of 120 grit sandpaper with a belt sander. Then I went to 150 grit with a palm sander. Then I did another round of 220 with the palm sander, and it is pretty smooth at this point. Not perfect. You're never gonna get, you know, construction lumber to be perfect, but it's pretty good. All right, I'll show you guys what I got going on next. Okay, here is the finished product. It's actually been a little while since I shot video on this table. I got real busy and I didn't get a chance to do it, but I wanted to show you guys what it looks like in the house, you know, completely done. Got my stain on it, put a couple coats of polyurethane on it. Came out real nice. I think it looks really pretty. It's always surprising to me what you can get done with just construction grade lumber. And I'll show you my original problem and why I built the table is fixed, because our old table, the legs went right up to this bench right here, and you had to slide the table out in order to even sit down on the bench. But now you don't do that. Somebody can just sit down and slide right in. I think overall it turned out really well. I ended up down on the bottom for some bracing between the legs. I just got a piece of iron pipe and connected it between the legs. But that's what it looks like in the house. For my first farmhouse style table, I was pretty happy with it. You know, there's probably a few things I'd change up, but overall it went really well. So if you guys liked the video, if it gave you any ideas about how to build things, you know, give it a like, subscribe to my channel. I'm always going to be posting DIY type videos on pretty much anything I do around here. Could be car repairs, could be climbing up on roofs. You know, I never know what I'm going to be getting into. So subscribe to my channel and stay tuned for more videos like this. Thanks a lot, you guys. Bye.